Okay, it's a gorgeous day out. The lilacs are done blooming. This is a standard lilac. It's grafted onto stock base. So every year I have to prune this right after it's done, and I'm going to give it a pretty good cut. And then I'm going to take you in and show you wherever you have what's called a fist, you're going to cut that out, and you're going to really thin this out because we're in a perfect time of the year to do that. Okay, so this is all the shaping. Now I'm going to go in and cut out what's called doors and windows. You want ventilation in all of, and I don't necessarily do it in visible spots, but I'm definitely going to cut where it's crossing, branches are crossing. That's hard with a lilac. They're all crossing. But wherever I can let in light and air, I'm going to start to prune it out. So this is a perfect example. So this is growing that way, and I would like to open this up so I can get new growth on those stems down below. So I'm going to cut this out. And then all the stems that are below will have a chance to grow. Here's a good example of what I call a fist. See how tight this is at the end? And that will all grow out. But I am going to, you do the same with boxwoods. You see how tight that is? So now that has opened up this whole area to put growth in again. This tree is over 30 years old, and it's gone through some real rough patches. I had a whole side of it branch actually rot off 2 years ago, and now it's healing in. So this area right here totally lost an entire limb, and I thought the tree was dead. I really did. And I pruned it way back, pruned it hard, and thought we'll see what happens. And even though there's a lot of dead wood in here, it still looks pretty good. Eventually it will need to be replaced. This is a pretty good age for this tree. So I'm going to go back in and start to open up windows and doors. So I have a branch that is completely crossing over this other branch, and I don't like that. That's a perfect spot to set up for disease. And what will eventually happen is either the large piece will be diseased or this piece will be diseased. I don't know yet. And consequently, what happens from that, and the reason I'm letting this go is because you see there's no new growth coming off this side of the tree. So I've got to pull growth from the opposite side to pull it over to balance it. Yeah, eventually something else will have to go in here, but for right now, this is fine. So now, you see how you can see daylight through the canopy? That's what I'm looking for. So I have cut out quite a bit of this and some fairly large branches. But this is crawl underneath, cut out any dead wood, anything that's crossing, anything that's growing in towards the tree, to the trunk of the tree. You want to cut that out. You want your tree going out, not in, and you don't want things crossing. So this is technically the first hard prune of the year, and then I'll have to do one more touch-up prune right before it sets bud again, which would be end of August. Okay, you can see how much better this looks. It's pruned, it's been opened up. All of the mulch down below has been roughed up, so when we get the rain on the weekend, it'll have a chance to sink in. I could take a rake and smooth it out, and I probably will, but I'm really happy with this. And so this will set buds the end of August. It will get pruned one more time, and then it'll just be a quick top prune. I won't be cutting doors and windows. I won't be cutting out any fists where it's really tight. It's just going to keep the shape. So this time of the year there's a lot to do if you're pruning things that have already bloomed. Now I'm going to head out to the azaleas and the boxwood because they're all ready to be rejuvenated, just like the lilacs. So azaleas, rhododendrons, boxwood, all of those are getting cut today and tomorrow. So busy day. Okay, so this looks really bad. I took 1/3 of the old growth out. I have stumps. I took 3 big old stems out. What that did is it opened up this entire west side. It had really choked out this cotinus. So now this cotinus can fill in. The lilac is done. The cotinus is just starting. So this will all fill out this probably in the next 2 weeks. So for now, there's going to be a bit of a hole. It doesn't look that bad. You can't see it from where I sit on the patio to have my breakfast. So we're just going to let this fill out. This is probably a 2-year prune. So this year I cut heavy on this. This was major wood that I took out, and it was all old wood. Now I have brand new branches coming up. Now next year it will bloom, and after it's done blooming, I'm going to take the height way down. But I shouldn't need to remove very much old wood next year. So at that point, we can start to pull this down. So when you're looking at rejuvenating a plant and getting it to recharge again, you're looking at 2 to 3 years of good hard pruning. So, but you don't want to do it all at once. If you do it all at once, you run the risk of losing the plant. So I'm pretty happy with this. We'll come back and visit this in about 2 weeks, and you'll see how this will fill in. So this is the task today. If your azaleas, your rhododendrons, if they're done blooming, it's time to cut them back or get them under control. So there'll be a lot of cutting going on today, a lot of pruning going on. This walkway needs to be open and clear. So here's a before, and here's a before, here's an after. So when you trim your boxwoods, you want to brush your hand across. Make sure it moves. If it doesn't move, then you need to go in and cut some holes in. I've got a couple spots up here that definitely still need to have some things taken out. By creating the windows and the doors I'm talking about, you're letting light in. So when I go to really trim this back, I can look in the interior of this bush and there's green growth because I've let light in there and I've let circulation in there. A lot of times when I see boxwoods, people just shear them. Don't shear your boxwoods. Go in, take your time in the spring, cut out the fists, make some doors and windows, and you'll start to see green coming up. I'm working on a couple over here that I'm rejuvenating after we took that big pine tree out. My first thought was just rip them out. And then my second thought, I could see green on the interior. So I thought, we'll just cut them back. It's going to take me about 2 years to get them to where I want them, but they'll get there. I love plants. Plants want to regenerate. They don't want to be ripped out and thrown away. If you have good plants, stick with them. Don't waste your money by pitching them out. So I'm clearing the walkway now, and I've cut a Carlesi viburnum, I've cut a Nova Zembla rhododendron, I've cut a white cascade azalea, and I've cut the boxwoods. I've got 2 more boxwoods to go, and I have a yew. I'm not going to call it a hedge, but I have 2 yew bushes right under my picture window, and those are ready to be cut down too. I also have a swamp azalea. I will not touch that. It blooms in August, so I would be cutting off the blooms. After it blooms, I will go in and cut that. But everything is slowly coming under control. I still have the big azalea hedge to do on the driveway, but this has been a great day. I've got an awful lot done today. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these big fists out, and then I'm going to trim this one.